Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be speaking on the fourth pillar of my free ebook, which you can download via the link in my bio. This pillar is called Know the Self and Body, and is an extremely important life lesson that we need to bring into our conscious awareness, because I fully believe that we cannot expect others to fully know us on a real and raw level and therefore meet our needs and respect our boundaries if we don't first know ourselves on that real and raw level and meet our own needs and respect our own boundaries. It all starts from within. It all starts with the self. And if we want to change our external reality, we need to first realize that we have to enact change from within. We have to first change the relationship that we have to our internal reality, because the external world is just a reflection of your internal world. And so true change, true societal change all starts with the individual. It all starts from within, and it all starts with you. And if you want to help heal the world, you need to first help heal yourself. This understanding is so important, because we cannot serve the world and serve others from an empty cup. We cannot pour from an empty cup. We need to first be full from within our own vessel in order to be able to show up in the world and serve from an aligned, authentic and place of strength and a place of resilience. Because you need to be grounded in your own truth first, because this world is so full of distractions and so full of people trying to tell you how to live your life. But if you are not first understanding how do I live my life that is in service of my energy and my personality and my way of being, then you're always going to be falling into the trap of seeking help and seeking guidance and seeking advice from the external world. Every time we prioritize the external world and the external opinions of friends, parents, doctors, teachers, whatever it may be, we give our power away. Every time we connect back to the self and connect to within and seek answers from within, we take our power back. And so it is so important to know yourself on this deep level, on this intimate level, on this raw and true level, so that you are making decisions that come from an aligned place. And when you are in alignment with your truth, you can therefore create so much more joy, so much more bliss, so much more ease and relaxation in your life, because you are not doing things to help others, but you are doing things to help serve yourself first. It all starts from within, and we need to actually start cultivating a relationship with ourselves that is a lot more selfish than we have taught to be. And we've also been taught very negative connotations with this word, with being selfish. And honestly, I've started to reclaim being selfish, because being selfish means that I am putting myself first. I'm putting my needs first. And what I've witnessed in my own life is the more that I do that, the more love compassion and energy I'm able to give to my friends, to my relationships, and to the external world, because I'm coming from a place of strength and fullness and wholeness, rather than coming from a place of being drained and tired and in need of that external validation, in need of that external support. Because in the end, the external world can only help you and support you up to a certain point. And then it's going to come to a point where you need to take responsibility for yourself, and you need to realize, right, where am I not looking? What am I not acknowledging? What aspects of myself have I been suppressing? We also need to realize that the more we suppress our emotions, the further away from ourselves we are going to get. The bigger the wedge, the bigger the crack from our true selves, our true highest selves, we are going to get. Because when we acknowledge and accept our emotions as just energy in motion, allowing them a place, allowing the space in our body and in our mind for the love, the joy, the bliss, the happiness, as well as the negativity, the jealousy, the greed, the sadness, the depression, the anxiety. When we stop shaming one and prioritizing another, that's when we can come into a more harmonious way of being, right? Because we see experiencing bliss as just as important as experiencing sadness, right? Because there's no hierarchy of emotions. We've just been made to believe that there is. And the thing about emotions is they want to be felt. They desperately want to be felt. They desperately want to be acknowledged. One emotion lasts maximum 90 seconds. That is 1.5 minutes. If an emotion lasts longer, that is proof that your ego is holding on to that emotion and what it represents. And this is also why it's so important to understand yourself and understand where you've come from and understand your body, because a lot of the time when we get triggered, it is not that that trigger is creating chaos or creating sadness. It's because that trigger is triggering a past event or a past emotion that we actually haven't fully felt, dealt with, and released. Our body has a psychosomatic memory. Our body has its own intelligence that is separate from the mental intelligence. And this bodily intelligence works through emotions. It works through feelings. It works through energy. And when we understand that the body's intelligence is separate from the mental intelligence, from the mind's intelligence, we can start to connect deeper with our bodies and really come home to ourselves. The brain has its own intelligence. The brain is just one organ of the body. The heart has its own intelligence. The stomach, the gut has its own intelligence. The womb has its own intelligence. The pussy has its own intelligence. All of these aspects of our bodies have their own divine intelligence based on past experiences and past trauma. And the thing about trauma is it's actually somatic. It lives in the body. It lives in the cells of our DNA. It is in our body in a physical way. It's not just an energetic or emotional way. It actually is in our DNA. Because the thing is, epigenetics has started to prove generational trauma is real. My grandparents were children in World War II, and most probably likely yours were too, or yours grew up during some sort of war in somewhere in the world. this is very real. My grandparents are one generation away from me. That means that when they were growing up, the majority of the emotions that they were feeling, because we have to remember that the ages between 0 and 7 years old are so vital. That's when everything starts to imprint. We're very open, we're like a sponge. And so everything that we experience starts to be programmed into our subconscious. 95% of the way we act in our daily life is from subconscious programming. Only 5% of that is actually conscious awareness. And so all these emotions that my grandparents were feeling as children growing up in World War II, all the scarcity, all the fear, all the sadness, all the chaos, that was what they were growing up with. And if I am not aware of what my parents and their parents and their parents' parents have experienced, I'm not aware of a huge part of myself, because I'm not aware of the subconscious or unconscious programming that may be controlling the way I react, the way I perceive, the way I connect with others. And so coming back to the body, coming to the understand, what is my body trying to tell me? What is my body trying to teach me in this moment is so important, because when you bring that awareness to the way emotions and sensations make you feel on a very physical level, right? So fear is very contractive. It makes you have that fight, flight, or freeze in action. And the majority of women will actually freeze, whereas men will usually fight. And then we can also flight at the same time. But if we're not aware of how a sensation makes us feel, it can really shut down our entire nervous system just by one triggering event. And the power, you take your power back when you are in the midst of a trigger and you can feel, okay, this is making me feel really frozen, really contracted, really scared, like my heart's racing. How can I take my power back in this moment? And every time we bring conscious awareness and we bring love and healing and acceptance and acknowledgement to those emotions, it gets easier to feel them. It gets easier to process them. This goes so deep. I highly recommend looking up research on epigenetics. It is so fascinating. All of us in the 21st century have generational trauma. We all have, especially as white people, we carry the wounds from our colonizing ancestors. We carry that within us. That violence, that greed, it's very heavy, it's very dense. And that energy lives in our bodies. But the amazing realization that we can come to when you start taking back your power, you can realize that just as things can be programmed into you, they can also be programmed out of you, unprogrammed out of you. And so you can start to take control back of your own reactions and of your own experiences. Because the body has its own intelligence, like I said, and it has its own channel of life force energy running through it. And the more we stay open, the more we choose to feel and stay open to an experience rather than contracting and like, ew, get away from me, like, you know, the more we resist suffering, the more suffering it creates. The more we allow suffering and the more we acknowledge suffering, slowly it will just start to dissipate, and slowly it will start to leave the body, because we are bringing awareness, which is energy, which is consciousness, which is love, to that challenge, to those difficult emotions. If you would like to go deeper into these understandings, my newest course, Root and Reboot, talks all about these connections and about body consciousness and bodily intelligence. Link in bio to sign up, or send me a DM, my loves.